That's why it doesn't sound so fair.
Electrify it.
He keeps threatening.
It won't take much for them to knock that over, that's not. That's how you
Discussions all the time, people say, how does those cows get on? Those cows at 1,500 pounds can do anything.
Yeah, they're gonna, they'll knock that over pretty easily, yeah.
We had one who wanted to back the fence, took 3 of us to manhandle back the fence. Just walk right through the fence, get all electrified, just walk right through it.
Yeah, they're pretty substantial. Make sure that's off.
The recorder is on. The recorder is on now.
Okay. All right, I don't think, you started a little bit early here,
As long as we don't do the public hearings before 7.
before 7?
We can start with everything else, we just can't do the public hearings.
Okay, all right. Okay, 7 p.m. August 8th, I'll bring the Board of Selectmen's meeting to order, starting with the roll call from my right.
Paul Sanderson.
Chester Duraki.
Ron Morgan,
Jim Rolston. Chip Huzzy.
and we have a quorum, and the meeting is being recorded. Okay, the first order of business is under appointments. As a brief introduction for the new members here on the board, the Board of Selectmen needs to assess property values, in our case every 5 years, to appraise real estate for tax purposes. I believe this assessment is only for residential purposes. Is that correct?
No, all of the property is done. It's a statistical update of all of our property values. Tonight, I bid out separately commercial versus residential.
Okay.
So the residential RFPs came in. We have the 2 vendors here so they can get a chance to talk with the board because the prices were the same.
Okay, all right. Now, this needs to be done in 2018. We have 2 companies appearing before us tonight who have bid for the opportunity to accomplish this task. Granite Hill Municipal Services and Vision Government Solutions. And an officer from each company is attending the meeting to promote the company and answer any questions from the board. After we have heard from them, we will vote on which one we want to engage later on in the meeting. First on the list of appointments is Mr. Todd Hayward from Granite Hill.
All right, thank you. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Todd Hayward. I'm the owner of Granite Hill Municipal Services. I've been in business almost 14 years continuously. I've been the assessor here in Greenland for 10 of the last 13 years. I did the 2 previous residential revaluations here, 2008 and 2013. So I think that's might make me a little bit more uniquely qualified. No disrespect to my colleague, but I've been here. I've probably measured 90% of the houses in town. I've been through 2 rounds of hearings, 2008, which that was when the values were on the upswing, and so I think that this time around is probably going to be similar. And then in 2013, it was on the downswing. So I've seen both market effects, and the difference in my bid from 5 years ago was really just because we're going to have more sales to measure. I figured about 50 more sales. So that was, I think I raised the price $1,500 over 2013. So that's really the reason for the difference in time. So the scope of the project is the same as it was, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, in 2013 and probably 2008. So we're planning on measuring about 150 sales, visiting them, physically measured. I'm trying to verify the information through owner interviews, realtor interviews, multi-listing service, those different resources that Karen sent out inventories to try to glean some more information that way. Then we'll do our analysis. We'll we'll try to determine which tables need to be adjusted statistically, excuse me, and we'll cross-reference those new rates with cost manuals and interviews with local contractors and make sure it all makes sense. And then in the end, we'll have the informal taxpayer hearings. You requested 40 hours, so we've bid for 40 hours of informal hearings. That may or may not be enough, but we can certainly do
Some
more
years
if we
is
need
hardly
to.
any.
Yeah, we can certainly do more if we need to. But that's still part of the information gathering process. Like I said, we've been there twice before this time around, but it's basically the way I approach the hearings is you know your property better than I do, so here's what I know. Go with the card. This is the data that we have. Now just tell me what I'm missing. That type of thing, and you usually get some pretty good information. It may affect a change in a neighborhood, or it could be a waterfront property, or it could be a style property, or whatnot. But so that's it. And then we'll finally reconcile the values, give them to the town. I would release the values to the board with an old to new report, so you can take a look at them before you accept them. Give me any information that you think that might be necessary, and then take it from there. It also comes with a use path compliant report to the Department of Revenue, which recently has become more cumbersome, but that's part of the way business is going these days. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay.
And at the same time, you'll still be doing our regular assessing, cyclical work and.
Right, I mean, you're under a separate contract for that
Right.
for 2 more years, so I'm gonna be living with whatever happens either way, so, for the next couple of years anyway, so I do have a vested interest in it too.
Great. Well, thank you for submitting your bid, and we appreciate your appearing tonight. Does anybody on the board have any questions for Mr. Hayward? No? Okay, well, thank you. All right. Our next appointment is Mr. Gary Fortier.
No,
Is 48?
Richard Romano.
Oh, Romano, you're okay. Sorry, okay.
I'm the contact for the town. I've been doing work here since 1975.
Okay.
Indirectly.
All right, well,
Yeah, basically, the only thing different is, I know inspection of sales, I was told it was 1.5 years, so I have 180 sales being inspected. Because it was 1.5 years, is that correct? Yeah.
That's what about right.
And, which, the extra 30 parcels at inspections would create a difference in price. Also, we're fully insured and the job is totally bonded, so there is a cost for a bonding job. And other than that, we're going to be doing basically the same thing, analyzing the sales, inspecting the sales, doing all the different reports, meeting with the DRA because they're going to be meeting a couple of times, I understand, throughout the entire process. So, and we're going to hold the informal hearings, and I guess it's 40 hours of informal hearings, but we can provide more than that if the town wants to. And we're going to create all new tables. Whatever has to be adjusted will be adjusted, and we'll be working directly with the town. Also, we have a public relations system that will be on the internet, so the town people can look up, see what's going on in the town. Is there any other questions you guys may have?
any questions for the board?
We're presently working in a number of towns in this area right now. We're finishing up Portsmouth. We just finished Hampton, and
Okay.
good. And we did.
Well, you both came in at the same price, so.
Yeah, the only difference I think was the extra properties to inspect, because we were inspecting 180 rather than 150. I could adjust our price. We're inspecting 30 less parcels.
Okay.
And the year's not over, so we don't have a
That's
set,
right.
how many that's gonna be.
That's right.
Right. Todd does our general appraisal work, our cyclical appraisal work, and Vision Company is the online service that is doing our internet.
Right, well, they're our software company.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, they both are very familiar with our town.
Exactly.
In fact, I've been with the company since Greenland was one of the first towns to ever automate in the state of New Hampshire. So
Okay.
I was very proud of that.
Well, now we can do one of two things here. We can put you back to back, the dueling pistols.
Back, okay.
Or we can, later on discuss this and we'll get back to you as
Just one point, if I may. The price is the price, whether it's 180 sales to measure, if it's 150. I just figured 150. That was what the RFP said. It was 180.
Okay.
The price is the price. It's a bottom line anyway.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I tried to calculate, because it was a year and a half, so I calculated what it was.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you both for coming tonight and submitting your bids. We really appreciate it. And we will
Sure.
let you know.
Okay, all right. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, being after 7 o'clock now, I think we can hold a public hearing. So you want to explain what the donations are all about?
Yep, we have donations for National Night Out, which took place last Tuesday. We received $500 donation from Mercedes-Benz of Portsmouth and $500 from the Chief Michael Maloney Memorial Fund. So that's the first one.
And now we'll open a public hearing to accept the donations. Anybody have any comments? Anybody not want to take the money? Okay, hearing no comments, I will close the public hearing. Ask for any comments from the board.
Just a motion to accept $500 from Mercedes-Benz of Portsmouth and $500 from the Chief Michael Maloney Memorial Fund for the purpose of National Night Out.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, the second donation we have for a public hearing is road infrastructure funds. This was based on SB 30 from the state this year. It was an apportionment A for maintenance, construction, and reconstruction of highways. The state had a surplus from their road toll monies that they had designated that would go back to the municipalities, so which it did. So Greenland's share was $72,684.60. It can only be used for the roads. It's a one-time appropriation, it does not lapse. But we need to have a public hearing to accept it. It's to be treated like as a grant. It will be set up in a special line item, and as we spend down on it, then it's gone. It's a one-time thing. So what I've done to be prepared for that is I worked with Paul last week on the roads that were scheduled for 2017 for crack sealing and paving based on the Underwood study, and I added 2 more on to that list. So when those bids come in, we'll be able to see how much more we can actually get done with those funds.
Okay, I'll ask for a public comment. Go ahead.
Dennis Malloy. This is in addition to, this does not supplant anything?
No, the highway block grant, we normally get $85,000 a year.
Okay.
And this is a one-time cash infusion for road infrastructure.
Okay.
Any other comments? Okay, then I will close the public hearing and comments from the board.
I will just move to accept the additional appropriation of highway block grant funds from the state in the amount of $72,684.60. Further authorize its expenditure in additional maintenance, construction, and reconstruction of town roads. This amount to be non-lapsing until all the money is used for the intended purpose.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, State of New Hampshire.
approval of minutes for Monday, July 24th.
And as you review these minutes, there was a suggestion for an amendment that was lengthy, so page 5 and page 8 been marked in italics so that you could clearly see what the amendment was.
I guess my question is, why are we amending it if that's what was said at the meeting?
Why are we what?
Why are we amending it if that's what was said at the meeting? I just questioning that.
Well, I
I
think,
actually went and listened, and that's what was written down, what was said.
yeah, because I think that the public needs to know what the intent of the comment was. Sometimes during meetings, you throw things out, and when I read the minutes, I don't think the intent of what I meant was mentioned in the minutes. I think that, to my way of thinking, it's all right to do that. If I read the minutes, if you read the minutes, and you see something in it that doesn't express what your thoughts were, then I think you should have the right to change that. Okay? I mean, is that all right?
It's your
It's up to the
statement.
board, yeah.
It's your statement, I just have a problem doing it, that's all.
Okay. Mhm. Anybody else have a problem with it? Okay.
No, I think this, at least on page 5, you're just attempting to clarify a little bit. Doesn't
Yeah.
change the substance.
Mhm.
And on page 8, let me get there.
Page 8's easier to understand.
Again, I think you're trying to clarify, not change. So I don't have a problem with your proposals because they can clearly show in the minutes that they're amendments and that they're there to clarify your intent. Again, the minutes really ought to be a tool for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And to the extent you're giving people a better idea of what you meant,
Right.
that's not a bad thing.
And we've done this in all the past boards I've been with, so I think that everybody has the right to do that. I mean, if you go through the minutes and it doesn't, put forth what it is that you meant.
Right, it might be what you said, but you didn't mean it like that, right? Absolutely.
Right, it's not like a situation where you're changing your mind and trying to reverse a vote or something.
Right, exactly, right.
It is here amended, so.
Can we ask, what are you amending?
One had to do with the Recreation Commission to clarify that the existing members needed to come in and be sworn in. And what was said was a little bit clipped, and if someone read it, they could take it a little bit wrong. So you were just trying to expand on the fact you just wanted them to come in and be sworn in. So it was to clarify that. And then we were having a discussion on page 8 about the use of the property maintenance supervisor building. And this was, again, an expansion of an intent to show why we were trying to deal with this and why there was some disagreement within the board on that particular point.
Okay.
Okay, will those be published as a new set of meetings on the internet?
mhm.
Available?
Yeah, the old text will stay and this will show as an amendment.
Mhm.
So everybody will be able to see both ways.
Are there any other amendments that need to be made? Okay, I entertain a motion.
Move we approve these minutes as amended.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, old business Coakley update.
Okay, there's not a lot of specific action this week to report on. I continue to monitor the activities at the state and the local level. I do understand now that the governor did speak briefly about it on Sunday on television. So I intend to listen to specifically what he said and send a thank you note out to the governor for keeping this in the forefront and that the funds would be allocated.
Yeah, basically I heard the governor, he was talking about the VA situation and other situations around the state, but he did say that he is very much aware of the PFO situation and the water supplies, and that there was money allocated out there for it. Well, I shouldn't say allocated, but there was monies out there for it, and that he indicated that he wanted to see that money spent to correct the situation. So I just happened to hear him that last Sunday. I thought that was pretty good. So, okay. I know you're here to say something.
I've got some questions.
Go ahead.
So I've had a lengthy email communication with Karen, and I know you're privy to that as well. So I've been fun. And I just wanted to, I thought it would be best, I don't have a lot of Mondays available because my husband closes our business late, but my babysitter rearranged so I get to be here. And so I think it would be helpful to be able to clarify some of my concerns and questions that I have about this issue. And then I have a couple of other questions. But the issue that we've been exploring is the deed issue, and my concern as a resident who purchased a property on Breakfast Hill a mile away from Copley Dump, not knowing it was there, is what protections are in place for these new buyers of this 10-home development. Some properties which actually abut the Copley Dump. And so that was my question for Karen, and sort of the back and forth was it's sort of an issue of the deeds, and the selling agent is responsible to disclose this if they know it, and the buyer is responsible to ask questions if they know enough to ask. That was sort of the conversation we came to. And so I think the end of the questioning that we had was if there, I don't know necessarily, I guess part of my question is how does the deed process work, and what sort of role does the town play in that process in developing the language for a deed on a property? And then the second part of that is if the deeds are stating that they are prohibited from installing wells even for irrigation, what's prohibiting that language from further expressing because of the proximity to Copley Dump in the deed?
Okay.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, would you?
Sure. When the town approves something through the planning board process, and that goes through its appeal period and is final, that really is the end of our review. When it comes time to create a deed, that's something between a seller and a buyer.
Okay.
And so we do not have any veto power over the language in the deed, nor do we create the language in the deed.
Right. The planning board did require notation in those deeds, no wells.
Yes, and what we can do, and we did do, you'll take a look at the planning board final decision. There's notations on the plans, and there's also this requirement in our minutes that certain things be included. We don't actually control it in the sense of drafting it. That's done by the seller.
Right, okay.
Okay, but no, we don't go to each closing.
No, I know that, but is there influence from the town in that language in any way? I guess that happened with the planning board.
That was approved, I want to say 3 years ago.
The planning board did restrict, there's a deed restriction on wells.
Okay, I couldn't remember
Yeah,
exactly.
there was a deed restriction on wells, that was part of the approval process. I suppose if someone's unscrupulous, they could remove it when they sold the place, but.
That's a possibility.
Right, but a title search would
The
pull
bank, to
that.
be honest with you, the best defense is the banks, because one of the first questions is this near a Superfund site when they send their appraisers over to look, and you can't miss it, there's a big hill in back of it.
Well, also at a closing, when title insurance is involved, and there always is when a bank is financing, one of the questions they ask is, do you have any reason to know of any environmental contamination? And obviously here you do.
Right,
And so that would have to be disclosed. It's part of the title insurance process.
okay.
Also, I just want to throw this in. At least when I buy a house, I get an inspector to come in and inspect the house. And I'm wondering if that's I don't even know if that's part of his duties to do that or not, but,
Usually that's the title search, they'll be looking at the stuff like that in the
Yeah.
deeds. They'll go back a couple, make sure there's no outstanding liens or, not really.
Actually, a title searcher won't look at local records usually, and a property inspector usually won't come to look at local records either. Instead, it's going to be the disclosures, buyer, seller, broker, where these things would be detected.
Right, and there's no guarantees there. I guess that's my concern as a resident who felt blindsided by this. And I know this situation has changed drastically since I moved here 7 years ago, and there was an understanding that things were under control, but we've learned quickly that that's no longer the case. My concern is people moving here from out of state, not knowing enough to ask those questions and not knowing enough to wonder what's in their backyard. And to me, it would just be unfortunate for more buyers to feel victimized in this process like I did. I know many people knew, but I did not. And so that's my concern, is what role could the town play in preventing that?
Well, one thing we have to be very cautious about is not interfering in any contractual relationships.
Right.
And so when a seller offers for sale and a buyer, offers to purchase, that's their transaction. We're not in the middle of it.
Right, and I get that, but the town can't have a hand in it.
Was there anything in your deed when you bought your property that said anything?
I have to go back and look at that, because I don't know.
I don't think they
I don't
had
think there was.
restrictions. They had severe restrictions on wetlands. And large buffers and no trees could come down.
They also have restrictions as far as conservation property.
Your conservation
Unfortunately.
issues, but yeah, I don't, not 7 years ago.
So if you do find, let me know.
I will.
I'll let you know, all right?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So that was my concern, and it's easier to have this conversation.
Right, and
rather
I
than over
brought it up
email.
to the board at the last meeting to
Right.
let them know about it.
Right.
And it is statutorily required of the seller to disclose it. And so the buyer, if it wasn't disclosed, has a legal recourse against the seller, but not against the town.
Right. And, yeah, and the question was brought up of, making sure that I was careful with what I said publicly, because I wouldn't want to be liable,
Right.
for anything with the seller. And for me, I guess my personal reaction to that was, anything that I've said has been truth.
Right.
These properties abut Coakley don't. So
No,
I don't see how I could be liable for saying something that is truthful, I guess.
I just want to make one thing very clear, though. This board does not offer legal advice to anybody.
Right,
I want to make that very clear.
Right.
What would go beyond that is like putting a sign in front of the for sale signs.
Yes.
Don't purchase
No,
here.
I,
That's
that would be crazy
legally.
pants.
Yeah, exactly, yeah,
That would be too far.
exactly, right.
Putting up the signs next to the Berries Brook
That's
that
okay.
are now being put up by Coakley themselves,
Right,
that didn't feel too far.
No.
Okay, so the next question that I have is, about, the groundwater issue that's been confirmed by New Hampshire DES. I will move on to the next part. So, it's been said by Mike Webster, actions need to be implemented at the site to provide additional removal or containment of the contamination in order to mitigate these surface water quality impacts. Their tune has changed very rapidly all of a sudden, and they've been saying things that are much more clearly expressive of the concerns that the public has had all along about the contamination issue leaching off. He went on to say actions need to be implemented at the site to provide additional removal or containment of the contamination in order to mitigate these surface water quality impacts. In the long run, this will be the most reliable way to limit exposure to site contaminants via the surface water pathway.
right. And if that method is what gets approved by DES and the EPA and Coakley agrees to it, there won't be water run. They're talking containment within the site, like a
Right.
pump and treat system.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Karen, we know exactly what Jillian read.
Mhm.
We have not received any other official communications from either DES
Okay.
or EPA.
Okay.
No, they're negotiating it with Coakley. I've been reading the Coakley Executive Board minutes, and they're aware of it, there's discussion, but there's nothing confirmed at this point.
So therefore, we have nothing further that we can give you for information.
Right, okay, and so, another thing that's recently come up in the media that I think was concerning, and my response was, well, so how should we be feeling here on Breakfast Hill Road now that I'm reading this? Is the article about the city backing off the new plans for the well. The city was about ready to get the drill rigs down there, Get said, but they backed away due to all the issues with Coakley. Although he said the Banfield site is a good distance from Coakley, the city just put it on hold for the time being. We're pursuing other sites that have shown some promise. So this, like all of these reports in the media are making it clear that this is a highly, sort of, I don't want to say explosive, but that the issue is now becoming clearly, in the eyes of even the, town representatives in Portsmouth who are responsible for making these decisions about drilling wells, as well as our state regulators, that we have a real problem, that they're validating that there's a real problem with surface water, the same surface water that recharges the groundwater. And EPA has said we're going to hold CLG accountable, and yet CLG is able to say, no, we're not going to test these 2 residential wells on September Drive because we're just not going to do it. And so I hear that there's nothing you can report to me, but I guess what I'm wondering tonight is what can the town do to hold CLG accountable, to hold the EPA, to sort of force the EPA to do their job. New Hampshire DES is now saying we've got a big problem, but EPA needs the charge. They're the ones that manage CLG's, what's the word that I'm
Purse
looking
strings?
for? Yeah, I mean,
Right,
they
yeah,
manage,
yeah.
they manage CLG's remediation efforts on site. EPA does that, but it's been made clear through recent interactions that CLG can just say, no, I'm not gonna do it. And so New Hampshire DES steps in and they pick up the financial costs for testing these wells on September Drive that have high levels of these contaminants, not above the standard, but, so I'm wondering, what can the town do to advocate on behalf of the residents to get the surface water issue under?
Right, as far as
Control.
I remember the EPA document, the two properties on September Drive were not included by EPA either. That they are tracking, and their EPA is the one that chose to do 7 more, 2 in Greenland, and they're in Northampton and Rye.
Yes.
They're trying to follow the direction.
It was requested of CLG to include those 2 wells, whether it was EPA or New Hampshire DES, I'm not sure.
Right, I think it was DES, and EPA's response was, we don't see that need for it,
Okay.
based on where the others are already being tested.
Right. And so what you see is this dynamic where CLG can say no. And so I'm just wondering what the town can do to help push this forward, hold them accountable, keep this thing going. And I know it's a big question, I know it's been a question we've been thinking about
Well,
for,
Paul and Karen
6
have
months
been,
or
have kind of been nominated to, you know.
Sure.
Well, and we have been, not necessarily behind the scenes, everything we do is public,
right,
but there's constant talk, constant action.
right.
I would say we have not amongst ourselves discussed your particular question.
Right, because those two,
Yeah.
I mean, the 2 wells,
I think there had always been a thought that they were so far away from the site where surface water.
well, they have some in October. So
Oh, yes.
they're like, we don't need to add those, we're already at this point.
Right, but to me, that's just a symptom of the problem, that's why I share that example. Who's going to compel CLG to do what they're supposed to be doing? And how can the town help with that?
The answer is when it comes to compel, that's left to the EPA and DES
Right.
because they are the regulators.
Yeah.
But we have not ourselves considered your question to see if we should up our advocacy with those 2 regulatory authorities to try to get that result. We just haven't talked about it.
No, not on those particular wells, that's for sure.
To me, it's the general groundwater issue. That Mike Wimsatt, New Hampshire DES, is saying we have a real problem. We're now gonna say this out loud, the contamination is an issue, it's leaching into groundwater. We need to get this under control, whether it means changing the remediation. That's, to me, the story has changed in the recent past.
Right.
It was
But the test results haven't.
Okay,
And-
the well tests,
And I
sure, haven't come back yet, they haven't
I think
done
the answer is that you raise a reasonable question and we don't have an answer yet and we need to figure it out to give you an answer.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I just wanted to express that
Good.
Okay.
thought. And
That's
then the
good.
final question I have is any updates on the MTBE fund? Any word from Senator Morse?
We have no communications back from Senator Morse at this time.
Okay.
In general, what you will find with the legislature is August is a very slow time for them, but starting with Labor Day, they come back. And so I do expect that we will have some information back in early September. I think that's a fair.
Because that will probably be the first time that new committee meets.
Yes. In general, the legislature does nothing during August, has very, very few meetings, and I think this is true of this particular one as well. So after Labor Day,
We're
I
on
think.
vacation.
Yeah. So I don't take anything positive or negative from it.
Just waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for letting me
Okay.
take so much time up the meeting, I appreciate it.
That's all right.
I clearly had a lot of thoughts and questions, and I think it was better done verbally to each other's faces than through email, because that can get confusing.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks to my babysitter. Have a good night.
Okay, coffee update. Now we also have to deal with Great Payne Drive West. and Willowbrook Avenue
He didn't say
reconstruction.
that.
Which unsolvable problem would you like to do first?
Well, let's, the first one on the list was Great Bay Drive West, so let's deal with that.
Okay, we have the basic notes from Phil McDonald. Paul, the first question I have for you that I did not understand from his notes, did they come up with a recommended size for a new culvert?
No,
Okay, please tell us what happened with that discussion.
things have changed due to the fact right before this meeting, I got a call from Mr. Brackett saying 18 feet is all he's gonna give us.
Okay,
Well, that hasn't, that's what he said before, right?
Right before the meeting, if he
Oh,
finally.
not tonight, before that meeting.
Yes, before the meeting with Mr.
The way you
Lewis,
just
Evan
said it, it
Lewis.
sounded like just a second
No,
ago.
no, so,
Can I just, wait a minute, I just want to intercede here just for a second, all right? Great Bay Drive West, do we own it? And
Yes.
what class road is it?
no, we don't.
We have the deed to it and it's class 5. It was a
No,
private road.
no,
Okay,
and I'll tell you why I say that.
okay.
That deed, which is at book 5677, page 868, okay? Meaning and intending to convey to the town whatever interest we have in the existing Great Bay Drive east and west, including pavement, shoulders, ditches, and culverts. That's a surface easement. That is not a fee grant.
Okay.
We do not own the land. Problem.
We need to be on the same page.
Right,
on that.
and that's the way Attorney Laughlin wrote it, to be all his right, title, and interest. So whatever bracket owns, we own.
With quitclaim covenants, but meaning and intending, clarifying what he meant, okay, is he's giving us the roadway. He's not giving us the fee interest in the land, because if he had, then we would have had to take care of the less than 10-acre portion that they own on the easterly side of Great Bay West. And that would have had to come out of current use. This road bisects their property.
Correct.
If they had given us the fee interest underneath, that would have made a less than 10-acre parcel on the shore of the bay, and it would have had to come out of current use.
Only if it's owned in different ownership, but I don't want to.
Well, it needs to be straightened out.
Right, a road doesn't a road can go through a subdivision, go through a parcel, and as long as both sides are owned by the same parcel, they both remain in current use.
With easement interest, not with fee.
Okay,
That's the difference. If they had granted us the fee to the land underneath, that would have worked a subdivision.
okay,
This is a surface easement.
okay.
All right, well,
So all we can do is put more pavement on there.
okay, now, is it a class 5 or class 6 road?
Okay, we own a surface easement. They own the land underneath. Okay, to me, it's a class 6.
Okay, and that's important, that really is important.
Right, class 6 is not maintained.
Yeah,
We do maintain it.
we maintain it for emergency purposes.
Mhm.
So we can get emergency vehicles over it. I believe in past board meetings, we have brought it up every single year so that,
Right, until we accepted the deed.
yeah. So,
Well, and again, these are legal problems. Let's say this,
Right.
at least the legality is unclear.
Right, and if he was willing to give us that deed to the 18 feet the way it's written, it can obviously be adjusted to include.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was interested, as Paul was telling the story about, because at the end of the day, we need to figure out what needs to go in there as a culvert to fix our problem. Okay, and what did you learn in that regard?
well, the meeting was about permits mostly,
Yeah.
on what we gotta do, and it was the first time I sat down with Evan Lewis.
Okay.
And he went over, and they were trying to get both of them together, and because the road wasn't gonna change in width, they were considering it a low impact, and if you look at all his numbers on square footage, nothing's really gonna change now because we can't widen it on our permit, on how we had to permit it. And that's basically why we had this, to save him from redoing it. So right now, Phil knows what he's got to permit, and then gonna do the design upon that.
Okay, but is it going to be roughly the same size, because we have the same.
Basically, even the drains were gonna be almost the same size, from my understanding what Emma was saying. Those 3 drains that go across, were just gonna be replaced with the exact same size.
With ones that work, because those are crushed and
Correct.
rotted.
Okay. Did Phil give us any opinion as to whether they're going to work?
No.
See, this is where I'm coming from on this.
To me, it's putting a Band-Aid over an artery right
Right.
now.
And
To do what? Just to go in there, replace those 3 drains. If we go, the most we can go is 16 feet, which only gives us 1 foot of shoulder on each side. We only have 18 feet. So the widest we can go is 18 feet. That includes your drains on each side.
Yes.
And so really, within a couple of years and a few heavy rains, we're back where we started.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now, as far as I'm concerned, either you do something right or you don't do it at all. To have to go back every 2 or 3 years, time and time and time again, costs the taxpayers a lot of money, period. If it's a class 6 road, then we don't have to do that, if that's the case.
And, or if we put it another way, even if I'm totally wrong, even if this is fee-owned class 5 right away, we can't accomplish the real fix in 18 feet.
Right.
You know, whether I'm right or wrong.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about this temporary construction easement? Has that actually been discussed?
No, we have to discuss that once the plans are done, because we're gonna end up on somebody's property just to do the 18 feet. So you gotta get an easement, because you're gonna disturb something before we replace and fix.
So how many feet do we need to do it properly?
What do you mean?
You said 18 feet isn't enough to...
No, if we use the whole 18 feet, you're gonna disturb a little bit on each side. That's what the easement's for, because you're using your whole 18 feet.
And that's not unusual. Almost any road you do, you get a temporary construction easement for the people's lawns that you're working aside.
And
That's
usually
common.
15 feet.
It's pretty common.
It's got nothing to do with the construction, you're just gonna be disturbing other people's property, and you just
Right, you
gotta
have to
get
stand on one side to get to that.
that. Right. So, the reason for this meeting was to get the correct permits once he showed them the pictures and everything we were dealing with, so they're not doing it twice. And Evan Lewis wanted to go this route.
Okay. So it can be permitted. That's essentially what he was saying.
Yes.
A minimum impact.
Okay. Okay, but we don't know from Phil yet what he recommends for the culvert size.
He's gonna, yes, that's what they gotta design next. It was all with the discussion with Evan Lewis.
Okay. But we do know that it can't be constructed within an 18-foot width without having unavoidable impacts on a temporary basis on either side.
Yeah, the impacts were, well, the square footage of the road is gonna change just a little. I believe that was under the 2,700 foot impact, because it's 14 feet, we're going 16.
Okay.
So there's a little bit, I think it came up to 2,700 square feet of impact. Because of the, being that close to the bay, he's gotta put all impact on trees, if there's any impact on everything, so that's what all the permits will be doing in the design.
Okay. So what we know is that we don't know the size of the culvert yet.
Correct.
Phil can design that for us, but it can't be constructed within that 18-foot width without at least some temporary relief.
Correct.
Okay. And we don't know until it's designed whether that has to be temporary and even a permanent one for slopes or something like that. We just don't know.
Right.
Okay.
So, easiest way to put it, I guess this meeting was to set Phil to the next step of the proper design on what we're allowed.
Okay.
And I'm glad you actually guys got here.
Well,
read your,
Yeah, we didn't know about that.
yeah, we didn't know about this, but we read your agenda, we thought, no way you guys are gonna be getting.
I emailed you that with the
No,
agenda.
I never got it,
Oh, I did, because I sent it to all the emails that I had.
never got it.
Question?
Go ahead.
The design that, this is Leonard Schwab, Great Bay Drive West. Probably I have the 1 yard that has the greatest impact, if there's gonna be impact. And like about 60 feet of views that might have to get moved. That's a little bit of an impact, I'd say. And the question I have is, does the design that Mr. McDonald's come up with show culverts on both sides or only on the side away from the bay as it is currently done?
Well, the 3 culverts that are collapsed, the only culverts we have is what's going, the 3 that's going
I'm
on the
sorry,
road.
drainage ditches, or whatever you call them, parallel to the
Oh,
road.
like a swale.
Swales.
Swale. Is there a swale on the bay side?
Not really,
That's all I
because,
want to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
because we only have 1 foot, a shoulder on each
That's
side.
fine. The only reason I asked the question is the natural drainage as it exists today is toward the bay.
Yes, right.
We had a question on the deed to the road. I know it says the 18 feet. The way we had written it through Attorney Laughlin was that it was all right title and interest. But there's some question that potentially it's only an easement just to the pavement, not the ground.
I'm sorry, what?
Come again?
We gave you 18 feet. Nobody even said thanks. We gave you 18 feet, it goes from Bay Ridge, Great Bay Drive East, Great Bay Drive West, all the way to the end.
Right, up to the
Wash
sky
my-
and down to the ground.
Like Pilot, I washed my hands of 18 feet. And the ground, if you find gold on there, it's yours. All the way to the sky.
All right.
Does that help?
It just may not be worded correctly.
I was the one
Well,
who
you wrote
raised
it.
it. I understand. I was the one who raised it because it raised a question for me. And it says, including pavement, shoulders, ditches, and culverts. That sounds to me like a transportation easement on the surface and not a desire to convey the fee interest in the land underneath.
Oh.
But your understanding is that you intended to convey the fee in that 18-foot area.
Paul, you'll up, right?
What
We missed you at the reunion.
By the way, we passed the bar the same year, so we've been at
Yeah,
this
but
the
I-
same amount of time, you know?
Yeah, but I practiced, I got good. Yeah, but
We've all
that's a
been
big
practicing
issue.
for a long time and we still haven't got it
You
right.
can
But
have,
okay.
you can have, Blackbeard's got something over there, it's for the town, I don't think it.
About 18 feet, yeah, that's what that's what we came down for,
Okay.
but we were not notified of this meeting.
We intended that you be, and we asked
Right.
Karen to send the
Sure.
information out.
Didn't get it.
And we did, we tried to do the same with the neighbors too.
Brackett or Ellison and Brackett, oh,
No, no. You must have the wrong one.
in older
Hannah, write your
email.
one.
Yeah,
No.
I don't do this under that. Some guy of Oklahoma, probably.
Okay, so where do we stand?
Okay, now, given what Paul has just told you, if we can't physically fix the culverts within the 18 feet that we have, is it possible to keep talking as this design progresses for a temporary easement to get the thing installed that will fix the problem? And I don't know exactly what that is until Phil designs it.
Correct.
But our intent would be that it would be a temporary construction easement
Which we have to have
to
all that
actually,
space.
to actually build the darn thing.
Yeah.
And possibly, as the discussion goes forward, depending upon the height of it, there may need to be a slope easement if we have to put some fill in or something like that. Can't we keep talking as the design progresses?
We need to keep stalking, yeah.
Good. I like
Once,
this.
my understanding, once this design is done, we were gonna contact the same group that we had the first time and go over it. Make
But it's
sure,
18 feet all the way to the end. You guys realize that, right?
All the way to Great Bay Waterfalls.
Yeah.
We washed our hands with it.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, but I think
I don't know
the,
who owns it, but that's what it was.
Well, if that's
the problem
the
area-
problem,
the problem area is where those culverts have to be fixed.
Mhm.
And so, given that you'll be willing to keep talking to us, then I think the best resolution tonight is for us to have a motion where we authorize Phil McDonald to keep designing so that we can share that detail, not only with brackets, but also with the neighborhood.
I spelled Comcast wrong. I have C-I-M. They didn't receive it. I spelled Comcast wrong. So I'm like, I know I
knew it was
sent it, but it didn't bounce back to me, so it was at Kimcast. Sorry.
It's all
The
right.
intent was there.
Next week you'll get it back.
Like Evelyn Woods, right?
Okay, then, all right, then let's move forward with this, and we have a motion. Do you want to?
I'll be happy to make the motion that we authorize Phil McDonald to continue forward with the next step of design of the necessary repair culverts, and that design will be shared with brackets and all the members in the neighborhood before any further steps are taken to file for permits.
What is Phil saying for those? Is he saying anything about the culverts? Is he saying, you know,
Well, right now it's between him and DES.
Right.
yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, DES, that was our last meeting was with DES.
Right, and it's replacement in kind.
Yeah, right now it's just replacement income.
Okay.
Okay, and you know what we know.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Karen, you know that was an Indian burial.
That's right, it was also a snail darter project.
I saw some really weird frogs.
All right, Tom, I'll see you after the meeting.
Can I get home and watch Matlock now?
We're done.
You're done?
Done.
Yeah.
That was quick.
All right,
Nice to see you
Willowbrook.
Bye-bye now.
Okay, just before we move on that, Mr. Schwab, do you have any other questions based on what we've done?
Well, if you're going to go full 18 feet at the far end of the end of the road, I have a warranty deed on my tiny little 100 by 100 lot, but the Terenzis have a quit claim deed on the land on the other side of the road, which I believe John Brackett gave to the Schneiders, the prior owners. And that does not agree with the original 1927 subdivision plan.
Correct.
That land should never have been deeded out,
Okay,
be it quitclaim, warranty, or anything. So that's going to pose a problem when you get to, I don't know that McDonald has looked at the deeds yet, but
Is this the little garage that's on the opposite side of the road?
no,
No,
this
it's
is
the
at the very
big-
end.
The Wings old house, is that the one he's talking about?
No,
no.
No.
Terenzi, the
It
very
used to,
end.
it used to be a loop, it's no longer a loop. This
Yeah.
is the land that used to be the loop.
All right.
Okay, and that's a point well taken, that we'll have to continue working with the neighborhood to resolve this.
Right, that 18 may come down.
Yes. You know, or it may continue on as an easement, but it won't be anything we attempt to possess or improve, one or the other. Something. We'll keep working on it.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Willowbrook.
Willowbrook is what they're trying to do because of the DES, because of the brook we get across. Some people call that a bridge, but it's really just a culvert. Is they're trying to put this all under one permit for both jobs.
Mhm.
So DES and them, and that's a very low impact one there, because it's just that one brook crossing. And that's, if you saw the pictures, the original pictures, that culvert's gone.
Yeah.
So that's, Evan Lewis is gonna go out and look at it, tell us what size we have to redo that in and all that. So, once again, we're waiting on DES to get back to Phil.
Okay.
So needless to say, this isn't gonna happen this year.
It all depends on DES, if Phil gets all the information, but with construction, putting out the bid, no.
Now, one of the things that we can continue to work on, he's saying easement or property owner authorization for work outside the right of way. This again is a construction type easement, because that's something where they're gonna have to get in and clear and all the rest of that. And so we certainly can work on right of way clearance even if we don't do the project. But we need to know what to clear in what areas, you know, and who the owners are. So that's the next step we need from him in addition to the design.
Yeah.
We also know from people in the neighborhood who have told us that the tree removal will be a controversial issue.
There was, I believe, in the original plans right now for Willowbrook was, I think, 8 trees
To be removed.
to be removed. And 2 of them, which is good, they've been whacked pretty hard by plows. There's big chunks out of them. So that tells you how close to the road they are on that corner. Yeah, there could be a little bit of hooting and hollering on those.
So I think what we'll definitely need to do is, once we get a preliminary design, we'll need to have a public hearing.
Right, or mark them ahead of time.
I'm going for the public hearing.
Well, public hearing, but mark them,
I
post
can
the
go around,
public
put some
hearing.
ribbons on there so
Yeah.
people know which trees.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And I think we can get at least to the public hearing phase this year, even if we can't figure out how to construct it.
Other heavy equipment trucks going up and down that road with that structure?
I'm not on that road
Yes,
now.
they're started,
Huh?
they started that subdivision.
Yeah,
Right now, it doesn't really matter, except I'm a little concerned with the culvert. and it's
well,
gonna be-
that's what I mean, is that, is that something we should be talking to Strata about, or start talking to,
we did.
we did, okay.
Yep, and I've talked with the Strata Public Works Director a couple times on that.
Okay,
But is your concern that heavy equipment will crush the culvert and
right,
finish it completely?
yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
What if it does?
If it does, some of it would be a liability of the driver of that heavy equipment.
Even if we don't have load limit signs on the road?
You can't.
You can't put the load limit sign on the road.
If we have a,
Unless we have an engineer certified
Actually,
that
the
that's the
engineer
max
should
that
probably
that
take
can
a
take.
look at that culvert.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're that worried about it, you think we should have somebody look at it and see if we got a.
Let me ask you a question, are you worried about it? Do you think that, I mean, if these trucks,
I'll be honest, I don't think he can answer that because he doesn't have the expertise. You know, unless he's sitting there and sees it going like this when the truck goes over it.
Right.
I mean, the only thing I've seen for problems since I've been on this job, one of the first jobs we did was a guardrail. And that's starting to go like this, but that's not from the road, that's just from the sides washing out.
Is the culvert concrete?
No.
No.
It's metal and, I mean,
They rot out.
yeah,
can you get an opinion from an engineer?
I can ask Phil.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's.
Yeah, to see if because of that job, if there's a concern about that culvert at this point, where we should put a limit sign on that.
Yeah, would you get,
And the risk would be 2 loaded 10-wheelers going side by side over at the same moment.
It couldn't work, there's not enough
You're not
room for
gonna
them to
make it.
pass.
It's gonna be a bigger problem.
Plus, we'll have a fire truck there.
Okay, so let's say, it's around a 50,000-pound load at any particular time, with one truck. And will that take a 50,000-pound load? And you say, yeah, it will till it doesn't.
yeah,
Right,
that'd be good if you could do that,
all right.
all right?
One thing I'd like to give some direction to, because I started this, and I don't know if it's follow through, because reading his report, it wasn't. Conservation recommended that be a box culvert with a natural bottom, where that's kind of a corridor.
I don't think we have a say. DES is gonna tell us when he goes down and,
Well, right now, Phil's recommending a round concrete pipe, and I'll tell you right now, we won't sign the permit.
DES ran a couple different pipes for him during that meeting. Evan Lewis was gonna go down, take a look at the brook, water flow and all that to determine what type, and wildlife on what type of.
That's why we're looking, because downstream on Winnicott
Yeah.
Road, that's what they're doing, is a box culvert.
Yeah, so he's gonna actually tell Phil when he goes down and looks at it, what we have to use for a culvert.
And that may be controlled by Army Corps, actually, for natural fish passage.
It won't be the fishes, actually, the non-game stuff up that far.
Okay. Although,
So wildlife had something to do with the culvert that we would be putting in.
Okay. Any other discussion on Willowbrook?
okay, so it would be clear that what we're asking the property maintenance supervisor to do is to go back to Phil McDonald as the engineer. And in the very short run, give us some opinion with regard to heavy truck usage of that right now. And is there something we need to try to do there? And then secondly, move forward to a preliminary design stage so that we can get to a public hearing.
All right.
Okay? Excellent.
Wow, that's better than I thought we were going to do tonight. Very good.
Okay, transfer station fees. I just to start, I asked Karen if she would pull some figures together for me to see how much of an average annual deficit the station incurs.
188,210.
How much?
188,210 is the cost to run the transfer station. The overall cost for just waste for Public Works, the transfer station, the hauling and the tipping, and the part-time salaries is $232,658. Average annual revenue is $44,448, leaving in cost that's covered through the tax rate of $188,000.
Okay, all right. I just think that's good to know information for the record. So anyway, you know, when I go through everything here myself, I personally don't think we need to increase fees.
I think our fees are fine right now.
Yeah,
We came on $1,000 for the good, so.
yeah.
Till we started.
What I pulled for the board was the revenues for the first 7 months of the year and the expenses for the first 7 months of the year for demo only.
Yeah.
Because that's what the transfer station fees cover. So the cost of $13,911 versus the revenue of $14,914.
So close.
So the fees are fair.
Yep. And that's what, when I went for the increase the last time, was trying to get that.
Yeah.
So we're right there. And the guys are doing a good job, very consistent on the charges. And how we actually set up the new charges, I think, helps.
Yeah, I think the guys up there are doing a great job. I really do. I've been up there and I've actually had people compliment them on the job they're doing, so. Good job up there. Any other comments? Anybody like to make those? Okay. The review of the town administrator's bi-weekly report. Anybody have any comments on it? Okay, hearing none. Labor Day meeting date.
Okay, yes, the board's regular date for the meeting would be on Labor Day, would be Monday, September 4th. So this is basically a reminder, because the board had made this decision a few weeks ago, that we'd be meeting on Tuesday, September 5th. And it is the first public hearing for the 911 next round.
Yay.
Sorry.
But what I need is a motion to authorize the bookkeeper to prepare and submit the biweekly payroll prior to the board's approval that night.
Okay. Somebody would,
I'll move to authorize the bookkeeper to prepare and submit the bi-weekly payroll on Tuesday, September 5th, prior to the board's approval of the manifest.
Second.
and a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I have a question. We're going to have the meeting on Tuesday, the 5th, but are we going to come in a little bit early since we're going to have the battle of the century over there?
We could, if the board wants to come in early, sure.
I mean, like
I don't-
6:30 for this.
Okay.
Do all the regular stuff before and make the hearing the last thing. We could probably get a lot of the regular business done, the manifest, all that, between 6:30 and 7.
Yes, yeah.
And we can try and keep the rest of that agenda light.
Right, the other suggestion that we should probably do is try to develop some proposed new names. Because I know the question we're going to be getting is
Right, I had one suggested to me today.
printable?
Oh, very printable, I just don't think it'll work. It was McClintock, referencing Samuel McClintock, who was the first chaplain and he was important in the Civil
What the
War.
battle of, okay, yeah.
But it sounds McClintock and McIntosh. I have a feeling they'd say, too close. But I'm not on that committee.
Start running the names by them.
Right.
We know Palomino doesn't work, right? Yeah.
And
Been there, tried
we've
that.
had some of the others that didn't get accepted, so.
Yeah, what are some of the others that didn't work in other places?
What was Creekway gonna
I
be?
can't remember.
Squirrel, Chipmunk Alley.
Chipmunk.
Chipmunk Alley.
That, they wanted to name it that?
Yes, and it ended up being,
Crossroads Circle.
there's a few out there,
There've been some doozies.
yeah.
Or do like to do on the lakes? in
Rue
Maine?
d'Aquitaine,
Like Fire Alley 16, Fire Alley 18?
Right, right. L Street,
Well, that's
M
all up in
Street,
Maine,
E
once you
Street.
and at that point, we might as well leave them Bay
North
Ridge,
Augusta,
Bay
that's
Shore,
all you
Bay
see.
Side.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't have any duplications up there.
Oh, well.
I think it's worked out to let the people in that area.
Right, pick
they-
their
they
own.
usually come up with
And only
some-
one neighborhood got into a little bit of it, that we got like 3 names from the same driveway.
And I think it's important to do that because it does make them feel like, all right, you know, we can do something, you know? So.
So are we meeting at 6:30 or 7?
I don't mind 6:30 at all. I think 6:30 would work for me, if it works for everybody else.
Okay.
No
All
problem.
right?
Okay.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, you suggested it.
Well, do we have to make a motion at the
Not really.
time of our meeting?
No, we're gonna make you do it anyway.
All right, 6:30 it is.
But we do, yeah, we're all set.
Okay. And we'll have one other meeting before that this month, so, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give us sort of a general idea of when you want to start budgetary?
I've started the draft budget now, getting it all set up. Now that the audit's complete, I can put all the as audited final 2016 numbers, so that's all been set up. The 2017 budget is in, but I haven't put expended to date because that'll just keep changing and changing.
Yeah.
We're in August. I would think the second meeting in September.
So is this a good time to get out to department heads saying, start working on your proposals?
I have all the templates. That usually goes out like August 15th.
Okay. So that's what we can expect. That's good. And so by the middle of September, you want to start initially working, having us work with staff to hear from them as to their particular budget request.
Yes.
Okay.
At the latest, the first meeting in October.
Okay. With the goal that that our part of it at least has to be done.
By the end of October, first meeting in November.
Yep. Because the budget committee process will be different this year with a new chair and a new rep from us.
Yep.
And so off we go.
Does the board have any direction that they want me to give department heads on their budget?
Sometimes we try to give them a guidance as to salaries.
Mhm.
Is it too soon?
Sometimes you say flat, sometimes you say keep your overall budget within a range, sometimes you say put everything in you want and let us cut from there.
We did that last year.
Yeah. And
I
you're not
don't think we
saying,
should do it again this year.
Well, you know, what is, we don't know what the COLA is yet, do we?
No. that-
no,
that
because that's
won't be
usually
out until
based on the September
Yeah.
CPI.
But it hasn't been going up that much.
July,
No.
August, and September.
It's been under 2% for
Yeah.
a long time.
But it's gone up for the last 3 or 4 months in a row.
Yeah, but not much.
Well,
Up is up.
Up is up. Right.
Would it be fair to department heads to have them plan for a 1% salary change?
sure.
Just as a guide. That's not set in stone, but that's just a guide.
That's reasonable.
Or do you want to think about it and bring it up in the next meeting?
I think 1% for salary, but overall 2% on the whole operating budget would be reasonable, because that'd say right up with the CIP. That's your price increases. They go they're over 2%, they're kind of dreaming right now.
Well, last year, the cost of living increase that I received was about 1%.
That's because you work for Donald.
Well, I can tell you this year I get 0 because I work for Chris.
Well, let's give it some thought and bring it up in the next meeting. All
Right in between those two, probably good. Overall operating reasonable.
Okay? Okay? Okay. 2017 MS1 report.
Okay. This is the annual report that talks about the value of property in town. It separates out residential, industrial, commercial, vacant land, what's in current use. And what I did for the board is, in addition to the 2017, I gave you the pertinent pages for the 2016 for comparison. I know that the 2017 one still says 2016 on the top of the form, but I can't change it. That's DRA has not corrected that in their template yet, and the form is due September 1st, so they're not going to get to it. Overall, the important numbers would be the town's valuation that's used to compute the tax rate in 2016 was $703,370, and we are now at $738,579,580. So we have a $33 million increase in value. The value of our exemptions also increased by $157,000. Those are the elderly exemptions. We had 2 or 3 of the residents age up from the 115 level to the 145 level, and shifting around on that. And then, as we knew, we were going to have an increase in our veterans credits, and that, what did I pull? 6,500 in veterans credits, and that comes right off the top. Right now, the impact of the increase in the value is a 67-cent decrease from the 2016 tax rate. While we still don't have to pull in all the details yet, is the 2017 tax rate is based on the spending that was done in March. The town's tax rate was already scheduled to decrease. The town spending was less. So the town's rate was already going to go down. The school's spending, however, was significantly higher, and they anticipated a tax increase of $1.10. So this 67 cents will offset that. I don't expect an increase in the county rate. When we went to the area meeting a couple weeks ago, the commissioners didn't expect anything large in their budget. For that year, it would be the following year. So I don't expect to see an increase in the county budget. The unknown is if the school have anything to turn back, which will then offset the tax rate even further. We will have 1.6 million available to offset the tax rate. So that's when, and I'll get that template ready for the board to play with as soon as I know what the school numbers are. Their DO-25 needs to get submitted by September 1st as well. As soon as I have that, I've got all my puzzle pieces. And then the board can look to see how much fund balance they want to use to either equalize or just offset as much of the rate as they want to.
And then we also had some of our public works projects that may not happen this year.
Right, but they're a warrant article, so they won't lapse. So that's not going to affect the tax rate.
Right. Okay. But it also means that they may, because they're not lapsing, they can be funded for next year if we can accomplish it.
Right, oh, right, they would just carry forward.
So
we don't have to reappropriate them.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's very important as we start planning in our budget for next year's public works.
Right.
Right, because we can't do more than X number of projects in a season. So if those two big projects are pushed into 18, we really can't budget too much more than that because there's not enough time. Our construction season is short. We should be getting the bids back on the 18th for this year's regular crack sealing, the maintenance part of Underwood's thing.
And remember I spoke to you about that new product?
Yes,
We are gonna go ahead and test that out on Coastal Way.
okay.
Yeah.
And please explain it to everyone.
It's a new product though, it's kind of like a seal coating, and then they add this stuff to it, I don't know what it's actually called, and then they roll it. And what it's supposed to do is actually rejuvenate the pavement. It gets pliable again. So it's gonna seal all the cracks and stuff like that, and it's half the price as overlays. So I thought Coastal Way with all the crack sealing that they have on it, it's not a real heavy traveled road to try it out there, and the whole road's only gonna cost $7,500.
Right, and in Underwood's proposal, Coastal Way was scheduled for additional crack sealing this year at a cost of $9,500. So the $7,500 is cost effective.
So it's a reasonable experiment of a new product that might be better.
Sure. Will it make it all one color?
It's gonna look like a brand new
Yeah,
road.
okay, that's what I feel.
But what it's supposed to do, it's gonna like go down in the cracks, it doesn't harden, it's supposed to rejuvenate the pavement. How it works, I don't know, I'm not a chemist.
Well, what is it called, Paul?
Well, they're calling it like a seal coat, but they have a different term.
He can't remember what the term is.
Yeah. Well, Jim, you were in on that class when we went to Barrington. It was that guy came and
It's
approached
like a
us.
microsurfacing.
Yeah,
And so it'll be a great experiment because it's not only wear, but to see whether it can stand to the plowing, and all of that. And so it's an experimental product at a reasonable length and a reasonable cost.
Sounds good.
and I thought Coastal Way would have been a perfect road to try that out on.
Yeah, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, not too much down the tube.
Right. And it's cheaper than seal coat, and this whole road's gonna get done.
Great,
Okay,
good.
so we do need a motion on this MS1. And it's
Okay.
not written out, I'm sorry.
All right, anybody would like to formulate a motion?
I'm not quite sure what you.
Motion to approve the MS1 summary inventory evaluation for 2017.
Well, I
So
would like to
moved.
make a motion to approve the
So moved, works.
MS1 2017.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
All in
And
favor?
Just one question.
Yeah.
What you provided in our packet,
Yep.
it says 2016 there.
Right, and I mentioned that at the beginning. The template from DRA, you have to do this online on their form,
Oh, okay.
and they have not updated their template, and the form is due September 1st, so there's not a lot of time to,
So that's all the problem.
it's DRA's problem.
Okay, fine, no problem.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, and I need signatures.
All right.
All of you, yes.
I have a question, Karen.
Yes.
When's the last time the school gave back money?
Last year, $158,000 last year.
Yeah, it was about 158. That bottle's back in.
They opened up, they started their, that they were able to keep a fund balance, and so we didn't get any funds for a couple of years as they reached the max of their fund balance, and now it's full, so they can't keep too much extra.
There still haven't been any of the CIP projects yet.
Thunder?
No, it's a whole plane, isn't it?
Oh, I hope so. It's kind of ugly thunder. I need rain for my garden. Okay, veterans credit.
We have one application for a regular veterans credit for a new resident on Portsmouth Avenue. She qualifies, she was a New Hampshire resident prior as well, with her dates of service from May of 2006 to August of 15.
I move to approve the veterans credit for Karen Reed, 350 Portsmouth Avenue.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, let's discuss the statistical update.
Yeah, we had the two presentations, Granite Hill Municipal Services and Vision Government Solutions.
Well, my opinion is that we should go with Todd's company. He's very familiar with the town, and I haven't seen any major problems. The other company, he was talking about doing Portsmouth and Hampton. I think I'd rather stay with somebody who does the small towns.
Any other comments?
Anybody else first?
Well, I tend to agree with Jim. Todd has helped us out when we've been kind of down the hole in the past, so he's done a good job for us, and I agree if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I would probably go with Todd also.
I agree as well.
Todd has worked for 10 out of the last 13 years here. The price is identical. It's all supervised by DRA to the exact same standard. So I see no reason to disagree.
Jim?
I'm good. How's that, quick and sweet?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
We select, thank you. Granite Hill Municipal Services for the contract for our 2018 statistical update.
Okay, second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Anybody have any other new business they would like to bring up? Or any other business they would like to bring up? Anybody?
I have a couple things,
Go ahead.
just so everyone knows. Paul's working on getting prices on the windows, but we did notice that we have some least cosmetic damage on the far side here, left side of the building. So,
I got a guy coming Wednesday to give us an estimate.
yeah. So it may only get that side with the windows and the damage fixed. If it's not just cosmetic, it's structural, then we obviously won't get to the front windows.
Okay.
And we do need a little bit more coordination on that, because I had gotten an email from Marge, when was that gonna go out to bid? So it is also out to bid at the very same time. So getting prices in and competitive bids, we gotta make sure it's apples to apples. And I wasn't aware of people coming in to like,
Oh, the structural stuff you won't know until we get the windows. I'm suspicious
Right.
of it because
the
of the
bids,
noise.
it did say to repair any structural stuff at the same time.
When are the answers back on your RFPs? Like,
I think the windows are due the 17th.
the reason I say is if they're coming here, you know, and looking at it, fine, you know. they can-
Thursday the 19th.
Okay, so you have time, so that if they come and take a look at it and they wish to bid on the RFP, then fine.
Right, just I don't want verbal, I'll give you a price that's not like a
Exactly.
sealed bid at the same time.
Exactly, they have to respond to the RFP if they wish.
Exactly. If we have two different processes going at the same time, it's gonna be hard to.
That's guaranteed, you reject everything, keep
Yeah,
going,
and then you gotta start over again, so I just.
Well, everybody that came in, I gave a copy of the bid to
Okay,
fill
yeah,
out.
because that was the communication part, because it was up and I had put the bid into Paul's box, and then the next afternoon, there was someone from Home Depot, like, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay, that's
It's all
good.
gonna be one process.
Yeah, all right. Well, we learn from our hiccups.
Paul's also still looking at pricing the roof for the fire station. That's not gonna be done this year. That's gonna be a budget item for next. And doing two of the sides, the front side of the fire station and the back, because the door side, we don't know what's gonna happen with the back, or the door side with, Public Works were to move into there when we built a new fire station, so.
Okay, do you
Besides, it don't
want
look
the
too bad.
specification done?
On,
The roof and the siding?
well, the roof, I just got a rough, we're gonna have a quote to go by. Right now, they're worried about structural, so they're gonna send another guy, the guy that came out and did the estimate, there's no pitch on that roof whatsoever. And what's the best way to do it? Because it is leaking.
Okay. Well, let me know if you want a bid written.
All right. Well, it'll be for next year.
I know, but.
We're still struggling with what's gonna be done.
Yeah, we're waiting
Okay,
for this.
Yeah, if you can get that narrowed down, because even if it's for next year, if it's gonna be a budget item, it has to be bid soon.
Well, let's think one more step. We're in the process of getting information back from MRI about a fire department, right? We don't know what the answer to that is.
Correct.
And so, just dealing with this metal thing in the middle, we might decide, depending upon all that, to go to the townspeople and say anything, either from reworking it to knocking it flat and starting over. So is this the right time to get that sort of bid spec?
Yes, it's exactly the right time, because we don't know what that's gonna, we don't know till next year if we're even gonna go for it. Or till the end of this year, anyway.
So what is your thinking here, that you're gonna get an idea of what the cost would be? And how are you looking to budget for it by means of a capital reserve, or what are you looking to do?
We haven't got that far yet, we don't know what the costs are gonna be. You know, if it's,
Okay,
that's a fair
It's
answer.
prohibitive to even fix it.
Exactly. It may come down, the roof is in real sad shape, and it's all the damage underneath is hidden because it was never maintained.
all right.
And one other thing that kind of screws us up on that is that sprayed insulation, you can't see through it to see what's actually there for damage.
So we could be anywhere from a repair to a tear down,
On the roof?
no, the building.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it depends. You're gonna talk, no, I don't think you're gonna see a tear down on that yet. I don't think it's that bad. There's a lot they do with the roofs. And all we're trying to do is replacing the siding or even stuccoing over the siding. We don't know what those costs are.
But of course, one of the other possibilities is if we have some other ideas of usage, it could also go up, right? In other words, you could increase the height.
We could. The height isn't a major problem if we're gonna move. Public Works building we know is junk.
Yes, agreed.
So the only thing we gotta do that we know for sure is the a door's gotta be widened over there, and that's gonna be something else we have to see if we're gonna make that a Public Works building. Yeah, you can't get the trucks in with the plows.
What plows?
What, my plow would fit through that door.
Yeah, all the other plow trucks park outside, don't they?
Yeah. Unless they gotta work on them because they broke down.
Right, but you can get the tanker fits in there, no?
Yeah, it's just if you got a plow, you got a wing on it, it won't fit. The plow will fit, the wing won't. So it's just options we're looking at.
Sounds like a design build.
Well, I don't see why a truck with a wing plow would be going into those bays.
May not. All decides what we do in the future.
Especially when it's up.
Because they don't go in the bays in your building.
They don't go to any of the bays.
Right.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason it's a contracted service. We don't try to do
Right,
repair here.
exactly, right.
I mean, the only ones that go inside are just the 1 ton with the plows, which will definitely fit through those doors.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that's what we're looking at.
Then I would think the thing to do would be to get the best examination of what the existing condition is.
That's what we're doing right now. The siding is the easiest. The roof is our problem.
I agreed on the siding, that toast can be replaced, right? And the other part though is seeing how bad your structural parts are. Because it sounds like you're basically down to the metal skeleton. Right? Just beams.
Have to go from the inside and look up probably.
Yeah, but it sounds like if it isn't a beam, it's toast. And even the beams had to be welded on the bottom, didn't they?
Those are all bolted, aren't they?
They're
No.
bolted, but they had to do some
They had to
welding.
be welded
I think one got hit.
2 or 3 years ago, and the salt,
Corrosion.
Yeah, all right.
Does it,
A lot of different things could have been done differently with those buildings.
right,
I'm sure.
does it sound like something that you would just have a structural engineer come out and take a look at, rather than these replacement companies?
I don't know.
I'm waiting to see what the replacement companies come back with, and if they're still not sure what they want to do, that's time for the structural engineer to take a look.
Okay. All right, just
They'll come up and say, this doesn't look good, this doesn't, we always have to rip this up, and take it from there.
All right, just let me know if you need anything done.
Yeah, we're just waiting back. The guy that actually came out to look at the roof was very concerned about it, so he wanted to have another guy that's known for these type of roofs to come out and give a second opinion.
Our
To make
biggest,
sure it's done right.
our biggest problem now is a corrugated roof originally, so the snow and ice can sit on it. Now we've got a problem where it's a foam insulation that's exposed, there is no barrier on top of it, and the ice and snow just sit on it till it melts.
Okay,
So that's the pitch issue they're having right now.
okay. So I'm just hearing bad.
Right now, we haven't heard any good,
No.
but that comes all part of the whole big picture. What are we gonna do? If we don't have the information, we can't make a decision.
Okay, and I certainly agree with that. But the report that we would want to receive back is report of existing conditions at least. You know, what to do in the future, we're not there yet. Because we don't have our needs assessment, we don't have anything else.
No, you're gonna take a look at it, when is this other guy coming in to look at it?
I'll make a call when I leave here.
Okay. All right.
And last but not least, the boys have been complaining that the recycle compacted during the winter, on those extreme days, it's getting too cold for them to sit out there. So I'm looking into dock heaters to go in there, because the 8,000 BTU little round ones just aren't enough for them.
Yeah, we've run into that problem for several years now, so.
I told them I didn't have any problem sitting in my truck. It went over about that good.
But they make heaters, I think.
Oh yeah, they make dock heaters and,
Like when you're going through the doors at Lowe's, those infrareds, they blast you.
Yeah.
yeah, and they do a pretty good job on extreme weather. You know, they told me, we've been up here at 0 degrees, the winds ain't blowing, sun's out, it's great.
Yeah,
It's when you get that 35-degree rainstorm,
yeah. And it does, it can be
it'll
brutal.
be pretty raw for them, so.
So you're gonna get prices on,
Putting it together, yeah, then we'll see if we get money at the end.
all right.
Well, is the answer heaters, or is it also providing some shelter walls?
Actually, the answer is heaters. They don't do too badly except with high winds. But the heaters themselves will keep them quite warm. The heaters they got now are 8,000 BTUs. We're looking at 270,000 BTU heaters.
Okay,
You can't add any more walls up there.
not with the current configuration, but,
Well, I mean, to operate that compactor, you can't add any more.
no, I'm just saying something to give them something to get behind.
They can step off, but depending on how the wind's blowing, off to the side there to block the wind a little bit.
Yeah.
Gotta have so much open for the people to get in and out of there.
Yeah,
I mean, you kinda,
And it's really
an
hot,
outdoor building.
people don't go anyway.
yeah, it's basically.
Recycles next week.
Well, it sounds like you two have it.
It's under control.
All right.
And I got one question, just because I didn't find it at home or anything else. Where are the selectmen ordinances?
We don't have any selectmen's ordinances.
Yeah, we do.
Well, we have a bunch of different policies, and they're in a binder for policies.
No, there was actually ordinances passed, so no one has them, right?
I don't think I have ever seen selectmen ordinances. What type of ordinances are you thinking?
Well, one of them was the alcohol on town property. That was a selectmen's ordinance that went before town meeting. I remember that took over an hour.
Yeah, and I have, those are all, they were never called ordinances, they were in a binder when I got here, and we've added to it.
Yeah, so we need
Like
to-
the animal control one, the fireworks one. But they've
I
been,
thought those two went to town meeting too.
they did, but they're still policies.
They're not ordinances like zoning ordinances.
No,
They weren't voted on by the people the same way.
no, they were voted at open meeting, at town meeting.
Some perhaps,
Right,
others,
without public hearing things.
others we have done based upon our own statutory authority. And so certainly take a look at everything she has in the book.
Yeah, there's a selectmen's policy, no animals in the town office, there's.
Things like that.
Yeah.
And if you think we should review them, we certainly can.
I just want to review them anyway, but one of the things we've talked about, I've talked to Chester, I've talked to Paul, we do have a problem with dogs in the ball fields.
Yes.
We're gonna have to address that. And if that means shutting them off, then we're gonna have to find a place for people to take the dogs.
It's called their own yards. The last 3 weeks, I have a feeling they might be new to Outback. It's a Connecticut plate, elderly couple, 3 dogs, twice a day, Outback on the field just running wild. So, I feel sorry for them, they don't have much land over there, but they're not picking
I
up.
got some open space.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't like the idea of kids playing when dogs are going. You know, there's plenty of.
Right now, Crasco Field is being used as a dog park.
Okay.
Maloney's the same way.
Yeah.
And there's signs,
Yes, the
You
field
have signs
itself.
up
there's
there,
signs
that
down
say
there,
no dogs?
Maloney, no dogs, no
Maloney
animals.
Maloney is
Signs
all the way
and
around, it says no dogs.
And do you have a problem with dogs at Maloney?
Yes, but not on the fields.
Okay.
Oh.
Do you have signs on Frasco Field?
No, not on the playing field.
All right.
There's nothing for that.
Do you want to put signs on the,
I would like to. Do I have to go through the rec or through the board?
It's town property.
It's
that-
town property.
yeah,
With the,
So
I
I
don't
have
think
permission
the
to get a
rec is
couple, put a couple signs up on Crasco Field, no dogs on the field. All right, good.
all right.
Yep, no, that's fine, thank you. First selectman. You
I-
want me to put that?
no
First
cows
selectman?
either.
sure.
All right.
No cows.
I'd like to bring up the increase in traffic, just, I know we can't do anything about it really, but the other 2 Saturdays ago, I waited 25 minutes to get
You're
onto
talking about
Route
waste
33.
traffic.
No, this is something different. This was the motorcycle.
Oh,
Now, I'm talking 25 minutes because I was going down to the country club for an event. And,
I couldn't get into my street.
yeah,
Yeah.
what's up
I
with
couldn't get
that?
out of the town hall.
That was a
I
fundraiser.
did
It was a
know-
fundraiser.
Well,
There was
that's
no
a
permit
wonderful thing,
request
but
made.
that doesn't mean that everybody has to suffer for
It
it.
was permitted, so, and
Who
it,
was it wasn't
Andy
permitted
Blacksmith.
through the town
Greenland cops
agreement?
were escorting them,
Okay, it did not come through this office.
but Greenland police escorted them through Greenland.
Yeah, it was over 800.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it.
I had no idea it was happening until I got caught in it.
Yeah,
But it was an Andy Blacksmith ride for organ donors.
I think we should bring it up with the chief, about communication, we need to know. I don't have a problem that she was the one providing some sort of escort service, that's her choice as the chief. But we need to have communication to know what's happening.
Right, because we could have put it onto our Facebook page.
Exactly, yeah.
Traffic will be impacted from this time to that time.
Actually,
I
it would
will,
be nice if
well,
Carrollton put it in it, that they're gonna be riding down these roads at certain times.
Right,
Karen, I'll take care of that. I'll talk to her about it.
she's on vacation right now.
and the other thing is the ways.
I don't know what
I
you're
don't
gonna do
know
about
whether
that.
we can't do anything except,
They're not directing them that way, but, Jim. They don't direct them that way. What they do is they're getting off, and as soon as you get off and change direction, they'll find you a new route.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, I got that on that
yeah,
Waze thing 2 weeks ago. They were actually backed up to my house. Most of you know where I live, okay, for 33. And Pinky and my wife are friends, and Pinky called up and says, "What's going on up here?" What? They're coming down here, she says, and they're not even stopping for the traffic light. All you can hear is cars squeaking and so forth. I think maybe that's a time that maybe our person in blue should have been down that intersection. Okay, I'm not critical of the police, because I think they do a damn good job for the few they have, but some of the situations like this, you know, they have to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's weekend diversions because of the main turnpike.
mhm.
And so that's absolutely right, is we should communicate with the
Well,
police.
Sarah Long Bridge is making that another
Yes,
issue
that's
too,
right.
because a third of the traffic will go over that, and that third has no place to go.
Yeah,
Saturdays and Fridays and Saturdays from like 1 o'clock on, all the way back to the toll booth, to the parking lot.
Yeah.
And then Sundays and Saturdays going south, it's a parking lot probably all the way up to the toll booth.
Yeah, so your comment, which is a good one, which is just police and traffic control. No, it's gonna happen.
Okay.
okay? Good. Excellent. All right.
And Jim, that's gonna be a yearly event. This was the second one.
Wonderful.
Okay, any other new business anybody would like to discuss? Anybody? Anybody at all? All right, payroll manifest. Oh, wait a minute, hold it. All right, Rick, sit down. Grab a bit of jam.
He's paid out.
Statistical update, we have to make a decision. We should make a decision.
Oh, we did.
You
We
did.
did. Oh, we did? Oh, gee. What am I thinking?
He's playing with us.
Sorry. All right, good to go.
Just one audience for the whole thing. Wow.
But we do appreciate your coming. We'd like to see you out there.
I always learn.
I always learn.
I hereby move that we approve the attached payroll number 16, dated August 10th, 2017, period July 24th, 2017 through including August 6th, 2017. Amount excluding payroll liabilities, $53,462.25.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I move we approve attached manifest number 16 of unpaid bills detail as of August 10th, 2017, in the amount of $272,542.49.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Any other business to come before this honorable board?
What about us?
Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion.